welcome back to Texas Rangers with the Boys. We are the Boys, your daily Texas Rangers podcast by a couple of pro wrestlers who love Rangers baseball. And hey, we want to thank you for making us the first listen of your day. This is your boy Kev, aka YBK, Kevin Frazier. Man, oh man, Texas Rangers win a series over the weekend versus the Miami Marlins. The LA Angels couldn't do us any favors for the division, but we're starting to feel good about this team. A lot of good injury news for the Rangers this week. We got some box scores to talk about. We've got a big preview for the series coming up against a pretty good Detroit team. Things are starting to feel pretty good around this Rangers team. So we're about to talk about it. So, don't forget, your Texas Rangers are the defending World Series champions. So until otherwise proven differently, we're the world champs, baby. You got to get through it. You got to get through us to get to win the big one. So don't forget to check me out on social media, Kevin Lee Frazier. That's Frazier. Don't forget to check out Texas Rangers with the Boys on social media, TX Rangers WTB. Don't forget to check that website out, TexasRangersWithTheBoys.com.
All one word.
And you know what else is one word? At Chilltown Hoops. That's where you can find us on YouTube at the Sports Fluent Network at Chilltown Hoops. Again, all one word. Joining me, my co-host, the 300-pound manimal, aka Bull. How you doing, buddy? Where can they find you on socials? I got the intro down now.
That was an intro for sure.
Yeah. Got it. Under 2 minutes.
No, doing good. We're right there at the 2-minute mark when he hands it over to me, and I'm going to talk for 2 minutes because that's what I do. No, we're doing good over here at Casa de Monte Mall. It's been raining like basically it has been for 2 weeks. We're hoping it's off to a good start. We've already got a Down on the Farm with the Boys in the can. Now we're going to put together a Texas Rangers with the Boys show, and we're hoping that we're going to be able to do all 5 shows this week uninterrupted by weather.
Hopefully.
Last week, as you all know, we were on here sporadically trying our best, and every time we would do anything on here, we would have some sort of malfunction happen, and we would end up just scrapping everything and going into our bedroom and crying into a pillow in a house with no air conditioning. So,
yes.
Anyways, so Memorial Day weekend in the past, we've made it on to June. May wasn't the best of months for the Rangers, but we learned a lot about this team. We learned a lot about the starting pitchers that the Rangers have, and we're learning a lot about where this offense is, and we're starting to see some good things. We're starting to see some of the things. We're still seeing some of the bad that we saw through May. That base is loaded of bats with Adolis Garcia and Josh Smith or whoever the other night. Those were very unimpressive. Those balls they hit out in front of the plate that were so slowly hit that they couldn't turn 2 on them, I guess ended up doing them a favor when Wyatt Langford got him that 2 RBI single or whatever. But anyways, we're still seeing those little things that we'd love to see improve. But at the same time, the Rangers score some runs. We got some really good pitching this week from the Rangers starters. So we're going to talk about all of that. Of course, we've got some Rangers injury news that, it's starting to get exciting. It's starting to get to that time that we knew was going to come back in November, December, January, whenever the Rangers were signing guys, when we were talking about where DeGrom and these guys would be at this point in the season this year. Well, we got some information on maybe not DeGrom, but some of the other guys that we've been patiently waiting for over a year. So, so we got some news on those guys. We've got some news on the Hall of Famer Max Scherzer. Hopefully John Gray will be able to talk about where he's at. And so the Rangers, we've got a lot of good things that we're talking about. The Bats kind of came alive over the weekend with the Marlins and last week with the Diamondbacks, taking 4 of 5 since we this time last week. And that's all you can really ask for. And they had a really nice week for themselves last week with 2 days off and able to get Simeon some rest. And, lots of good last week. We didn't get to talk about all of it, but for the most part, the Rangers, a nice 4 out of 5 this past week. And, it may not have caught them any ground with the Mariners, but at the same time, it's also just barely turned the calendar over into June.
Right. And we've kind of been mentioning, it's still early and those types of things, but you almost got me to do it. Why don't you tell everybody what's happening here in a couple months?
Oh, I got to tell everybody about Ultraviolet Dreamers. I had forgotten about Ultraviolet Dreamers.
Yeah,
I was ready to talk Rangers baseball. I almost had you. I completely had me. So, Ultraviolet Dreamers, Friday, July 26th at the Southside Preservation Hall. Matt Ward Pro is back. We're going to have a big time. Our buddies from Kelly's Onion Burgers are going to be back there whipping up all the hamburgers. And our friends at Starry's Ice Cream will be there with all the ice cream that you can eat for a designated price. But, hey, you know what? You go up, talk to them. You only need one of those little packets. You get all you need. You get one of those little things from her. You get all you need for probably the 2 months because it's so good. It's so insanely delicious. I think Kevin and I are just going to start doing Starry ice cream commercials for no reason other than we love the product so much.
Absolutely.
But anyways, Martin House Brewing will also be there with all the beer you can drink. As long as you can prove that you're 21 years old, that's a pretty good deal. I think that's like a better deal than the wrestling sometimes, like Martin House Brewing, which we all know Martin House Brewing is a staple of the community in the DFW. They've done the pickle beers, all kinds of crazy beers, and they're giving them away for free all night long at the wrestling event. Not to mention the fact that we're going to have a mixed tag team match with Brick Savage and his manager Hilda versus Damo McCullough and a partner of his choosing. So we're going to see how that ends up. There might be a surprise return from a certain co-host of the Texas Rangers with the Boys show. Haven't hammered out all the details, but Friday, July 26th is shaping up to be a really good night at Matt War Pro Wrestling.
Gonna be fun. And what was the date? Did you have that, Ed?
Friday, July 26th.
Friday, July 26th.
Is that right? I think that's what I saw.
I think you're right. I'm gonna agree with you on that because it's not my.
I'll pull my calendar up real quick and just double check that I'm right. But that is the correct date, Friday, July 26th. Southside Preservation Hall is the place to be. So let's talk some Rangers.
Yeah, let's talk the Rangers. So Rangers trail Seattle, who are also playing really good baseball. Seattle statistically is the best pitching team in the major leagues right now. I mean, every major statistical category that you can lead in, they are excellent across the board. Probably the best top 3 starting pitchers, maybe top 4 in the game in terms of one through 4. So, Rangers have their work cut out for them this year. We didn't expect them not to. I was not skeptical at all about the moves that Seattle was making during the offseason because we knew this team was going to come out and pitch. And we know that's how you win ball games in the big leagues is you pitch and you keep teams scoring low and then, keep yourself in the game and you give yourself a chance to win. And, the Rangers have been able to pitch as well, just not haven't been able to put everything together as of yet this year, but only 4 games back in the American League West. The vaunted Astros have done anything but go away. They're closer to the Rangers than the Rangers are to the Mariners. So, the American League
that's
West,
after dropping 2 or 3 in Minnesota this week too. So
yeah. Well, the American League West, it's going to be something to see. I think you're going to see a lot of change go on in this division as the year goes on. I think what it looks like right now, it's probably not going to look like by the time we get 3/4 of the way past the All-Star break and past the trade deadline, I have a feeling the American West is going to look a lot different at that time.
And here's another little stat for the American League West. If you can score 4 runs against the Mariners, you can beat the Mariners.
Yeah.
You just got to score 4 runs. In games where they give up 4 runs, they're like 9-20 something.
The Rangers, all they have to do is all that has to happen is Semien and Seager have to get on base. That's it. They actually, their winning percentages. I heard a crazy stat the other day, like on the game yesterday, that when Semien and Seager get on base, the Rangers, it's a pretty wild number, but like they win, they'd be leading the division. So rightfully so. That's the expectation for you. You drop a $500 million on a couple of guys. You expect them to have that kind of impact on the game. And I'll tell you right now, man, it's any struggles that the Rangers have had this year are no lack of effort from Marcus Semien and Corey Seager. Those guys have been in there every day doing exactly what they're supposed to do. And, from a guy who was very critical of those moves, I was critical at the outset. I wanted to see them put more money into pitching, which they eventually did. But I got nothing right now. Those guys have been great. They're lifetime Rangers to me, like forever and ever. They're attached to the championship, but not only that, they care about this team. They care about baseball. They care about this town. And, I love those guys. And they turn out to be great signings for this team.
Well, we've got several years left with both guys, so it's not like they're going anywhere anytime soon. And, as you watch Semien and Seager play up the middle, you really see like what they've become, and they've aged really well together in these couple of years that they've been with or gelled together really, really well since they've been here, and they've become quite the formidable 1-2 at the top of the lineup. And not to mention that, I mean, Corey Seager is on fire right now.
Yeah.
I mean, he's see ball, hit ball. I mean, he's in his own different stratosphere right now, and hopefully, that continues like it did throughout the course of the season last year. And you put that 1 month beside it, and he goes out and puts up the kind of numbers that he did last year. And Seager can continue to stay healthy, and that's as big a part of it as anything. Is just Seager and Semien staying on the field and being a part of what they're doing and keeping this. I guess keeping it steady, right? Keeping the boat steady for things to get better, because here in a second, we're going to talk about a lot of good things coming up.
Yeah. And let's talk about those things. So a lot of pitching updates this week for the Rangers. So start with the guy closest to playing for the team. John Gray threw, I guess he threw off a mound, felt good, yada, yada. Go ahead.
Should throw a live batting practice today if everything goes right. I would imagine that John Gray will come off the IL and pitch Friday night.
There you go.
That would be where my guess would be. I would say as long as everything goes well today during seeing live hitters. So we'll probably have a little bit of an update on that as we go into tomorrow.
That is some really good news to hear. So more good news. Max Scherzer, the check engine light is officially off.
That's kind of the rumor on the streets today. He threw a 25-pitch bullpen yesterday. Came in today, no nerve pain, no anything. So now we're just kind of going on, yesterday, I'm sorry. He threw a bullpen on Saturday, came in on Sunday. Everything was good. As far as it's looking to me, you could see Max Scherzer back out on the road making a rehab start in the next week. I wouldn't be shocked.
Man, that is really relieving news. And let's hope everything
as long as there's no nerve pain, and as long as you don't end up in a situation where he comes in one day going, it's back to where it was. Hopefully that check engine light that he's talking about is, it's fixed, and you can start prepping towards the what you're going to do with Max Scherzer this season. And I mean, you put him in the rotation and you let him throw every fifth day, and that's what you do. And for a guy that maybe 2 weeks ago we were talking about, is he going to pitch all season? little cortisone, a little bit of rest, and everything seems to be in the right direction. And I wouldn't be shocked if he saw people for neuropathy, people for onset different, tingling, making sure that he went to see doctors that were going to be able to tell him as much about it as he possibly could learn, because that kind of seems how the type of guy that Max Scherzer is. And if he's going to be dealing with it, he wants to know how to keep himself as strong as possible. And that's kind of how I feel like Max Scherzer goes about his business.
So now we got two other names to bring up. Now, obviously, we did our Down on the Farm with the Boys episode earlier. Didn't really mention this, but it's still relevant, I think, for this show because these guys are on the same timeline. But Kumar Rocker, we've actually named them together, Molly Rocker.
Molly Rocker.
Molly Rocker. The Molly Rocker.
Keep the Molly rocking.
Yeah, the Molly. You got to keep the Molly rocking. So Tyler Molly, Kumar Rocker, both are about to start facing live hitters today.
Today, yeah. They've been throwing intense bullpens. They've been getting to a point where they're ready to start throwing.
Man,
today is the day. You're going to see John Gray. You're going to see Tyler Molly. You're going to see Kumar Rocker. You're going to see the guys that have been coming back from these injuries. You're going to see them on the hill. You're going to see them throw against live batters. And hopefully when we talk tomorrow, we're talking about two guys in Molly and Rocker that come back in saying, hey, everything's good. Let's move on to some more batters this week. And you're going to hear from Gray, hey, let's make this start on Friday.
Jeez, man. It's like a relief, right?
It really is.
Good news for this team. And coming off the series win, on the road series win, and then getting some of this news back, it's good. We know Josh Young is clear to start doing baseball activities as well.
Yeah, and he's getting to the point where I believe tomorrow will be his actually today is the first day that he's eligible to come off of the 60-day IL. So he's kind of right on that progress of why they moved him to the 60-day. Hopefully in the next couple of weeks, we'll start seeing Josh Young out in Round Rock or Frisco and start making some of appearances and getting himself back ready to play some third base for this thing.
Man,
gosh, and it's so wild because, like the Rangers are in this spot right now where you're looking at their lineups every day and you're saying, man, how can this thing be? How can you put Smith and Young and all of this and get them all in there and Duran and everything? There's a spot for all of them. There's a spot for the guy that's hitting that day. Whoever's hitting that at that time, there's a spot for him. Duran's been hitting lately, so he's been getting extra time. Nate Lowe hasn't been hitting, so Duran's been getting those reps. That's just the way it's been working itself out. And look, Nate Lowe played 161 games last year for the thing. And, this year, it hasn't been the case because the bat hasn't been as steadfast as it was in the lineup last year. So if you're going to hit and you're going to play, plan on being out there because, when Leody Taveras started hitting, he started moving up the lineup. When he stopped hitting, he's moving back down the lineup. So that's just the way kind of things have been going. And, we don't know what we've got right now in Evan Carter with his injury. They're expecting it to be just 10 days, but who knows? Inflammation in the back became, we were expecting just 10 days with Cody Bradford too. And now here we are 2 months later. So, you can't always just put that in your pocket and say, hey, everything's going to be okay. He'll be back in 10 days.
Yeah. Yeah. And we're going to talk about box scores here really like in a minute. Cause I think that's the fun part, but
we got 3 of them today.
Well, and we got a great preview for a fun series upcoming too. But Wyatt Langford has also been swinging a pretty good bat. He has been being more aggressive at the plate. I would say in some ways it's kind of a mixed results because you're starting to see the walks go down, strikeouts go up. You're starting to see like him popping up, balls on the infield, kind of stuff like that. So there is a negative side to it, but also too, he's driving in runs. And, again, I'm not concerned with the power as of right now. That's not really an issue. It's more like for me, I'm more interested just to see like, is he coming up with big hits when the team needs him? And he is, like he has been able to get good hits when they needed him. Hasn't been a liability to the team. And again, Evan Carter, the kind of at-bats he's having versus the kind of at-bats Evan Carter were having are definitely different. He definitely looks like he just looks like he's close to kind of having a little bit more.
I think that what's kind of getting clear to him in the big leagues is that you have to attack as a hitter. You can't sit back and wait for the game to come to you as a hitter, because the moment that you rest on your laurels, those umpires are they're gonna get you on the corners, and you just can't do that in the big league game. And when you're going to get somebody to throw you something early in the count that's a strike, you got to jump on it. And I know we talk about walks and working pitchers and all of that stuff, but the most successful hitters in baseball are the guys that attack. And that's just the truth, man. Aaron Judge, Corey Seager, those guys are attackers at the plate. I mean, back when Stanton used to hit 40 home runs, 50 home runs a year, it's because he attacked. Now he sits back and he waits on pitches, and you're not getting better ones. Well, you're going to get the best ones in 0-0, 2-0. Those are going to be the counts that you get the best pitches to hit. And if you're not on those pitches, then you're not going to get a better one to hit. They're not going to throw. They're not. I mean, unless you're completely taken on 3-0, you're not going to see any other pitch that's just. And gosh, how many people take on 3-0 anymore? Nobody. If it's there, you're hacking. So it's just not the same game that it always has been. And I mean, you don't get that take on 3-0 because that's the way the game was played. It's not the case anymore. So if you're going to be in a head and counts in 2-0, 2-1, 3-1, 3-0 counts, you got to be looking for one part of the plate. And if it's there, you got to swing. You can't be like sitting back saying, oh, I'll get a better one here in a minute, because you won't.
Right. No, you're right.
The moment that you take that fastball that's right down the middle, that pitcher's got this much confidence of getting that breaking pitch. Mm-hmm. And you know how it is in the big leagues. I mean, the breaking balls are so dynamic and so deadly that, I mean, the moment you think it's a fastball, you're screwed.
Right. No, I think you got a lot of good points, and I like the idea. I mean, I think with Langford, and also actually, a great person that this exact conversation kind of has manifested itself with is Josh Smith, because he was doing the same thing. He had a higher percentage or ratio last year of like average to on base percentage, but we weren't talking about him as what are we going to do when Josh Young comes up, because he was batting 192. Right. Yeah, he had a 340 something on base, but he's batting 192 now, batting 280 at a 375 on base percentage. His being a lot more aggressive early in counts.
And you're a lot more productive player that way.
Yeah, and he's also like kind of he must be listening to the show, because he's not up there swinging for the fences all the time. He's getting base hits. He's taking what he can get, spraying the ball all over the field too, which is like not something you see a ton this day and age too. So,
and my problems with him swinging out of his shoes isn't the fact that I don't like the fact that he's up there hacking. A lot of times, that's not always the need for Josh Smith. Keeping the batting order going as well is as much a need for Josh Smith as anything. But at the same time, whenever he's up there and you're putting him in the 5-hole or the 3-hole or something like that, that's your job then. That's what your position in the lineup is to produce. And so your mindset, you can't just lose your mindset of I'm a producing guy that's hitting doubles and hitting gaps and swing out of your shoes just because you're in the 5-hole. You got to still be able to sit on that ball and drive gaps even in the 5-hole, and it can't be the best of both worlds all the time. And it's not that Josh Smith is doing a fantastic job this year. Everything that he's done this year has come up roses, and there's a reason why there's going to be an issue whenever Young gets back on where are we going to get Josh Smith at bats, but they're going to come.
Yeah, no, I agree. And they are, and I think it's going to be a thing. Well, hey, we talked about Josh Smith. We talked about Wyatt Langford. Both of these guys just a year ago or a couple of years ago were prospects for this thing. So was Zeke Duran. And now you're seeing these guys.
One of those guys was playing in a regional last year at this time.
And he was primetime must-see TV during that regional.
The whole World Series.
Yeah, give that man an aluminum. Give Wyatt Langford an aluminum bat, and you're basically giving him a lethal weapon. because that man can hit a baseball. But hey, that gives me a chance to tell you about our exclusive content Down on the Farm with the Boys, where we cover all things Rangers minor league. And we just dropped our most recent episode, over an hour worth of content because we had 2 weeks to catch up. We talked about Arizona Complex League. We talked about Down East. We talked about Hickory. We talked about Round Rock. We talked about Frisco, and a lot of stuff going on. A lot of players that you expect to see on that list, and a lot of players that you might not have expected to see on that list as well. So, and again, we went in depth on every single level. We talked about pitching. We talked about hitting. So go check it out. You can go to our website, TexasRangersWithTheBoys.com.
All one word.
Also one word, at Chilltown Hoops. You can also subscribe to our exclusive content here on YouTube, or you can go to our Spotify page. Audio only is $1.99 on Spotify. You can also get that link on our website, or you can go here 3 different levels on the Chilltown Hoops or the Sports Fluent Network. And again, that's at Chilltown Hoops on YouTube. 3 different levels. On that 3rd level, you can pop on here and actually join us on the show. Tons of fun. Again, thank you guys for making us your one-stop shop for all things Rangers organization-wide. Big shout out to our farm hands, dedicated. You love baseball so much, you're willing to pay a little bit extra for it. So again, go check it out. Down on the Farm with the Boys. We cover all things Rangers minor league. Now, it's enough about minor league. Let's talk about the big leagues. Texas Rangers take 2 of 3 versus Miami. A little bit of the old Rangers on Friday night, and then we got the old Rangers, the old new Rangers, Saturday and Sunday, and kind of a tale of 2 teams. And again, a little bit sluggish coming out Friday, and then come Saturday, the Rangers Saturday and Sunday, the Rangers kind of put the whooping on them.
Yeah, and a really kind of a unsuspecting twist in this whole thing is the Rangers beat 2 left-handed pitchers this week, and kind of got in Ranger fashion, just kind of made Sixto Sanchez look like Cy Young for 5 innings or whatever he was out there. And not a ton to Sixto Sanchez. A lot of change-ups, a lot of breaking pitches. They call that a cutter, but it looks like a slider to me. I mean, he throws at 82 miles an hour. I can't imagine many cutters on a guy that's throwing 94-mile-an-hour four-seamer that's throwing an 82-mile. But whatever, the case may be, I'm in on that. But Sixto Sanchez was pretty good. The Rangers started getting to him a little bit there, but the bullpen for the Marlins kind of cut that off. And the Rangers, Urena, not his best outing of the year for the out of the rotation, but at the same time,
Jonathan Hernandez for 3.
Yeah, I was just going to get to that.
I know you were, but I couldn't not talk about it because it was like, even in this loss, man, like that from Hernandez, what is that fastball he throws, dude? What is that?
It's just a 2-seam sinker that just runs. It's just a 2-seam fastball that runs out. I mean, it runs from left to right, and he has a ton of run on it. He's got a tremendous changeup. This is what I've always been saying about Jonathan Hernandez, that the stuff is dynamic. The results aren't always there, but the stuff has always been dynamic like this. It's not that the stuff has never been like this. It's just the fact that he hasn't been able to put it all together and get the outs that we would like Jonathan Hernandez to get with the stuff that he has. So when you look at a guy like Jonathan Hernandez and you start seeing that to come together, and like they asked a lot from Hernandez the other night. They did. 3 2/3 innings, and not to mention that, but they brought him in with the bases loaded.
Yeah.
It wasn't like they just said, okay, you got a clean inning here, kid. Go get go clear us some innings for us, or whatever the case may be. It was like, hey, this is a pressure situation. This game is still 4-1 or 4-2 or whatever the case may be. We need you to get out of this and get us to the top half of this inning. And Hernandez did that, and then he did it 3 more times. And a couple of hits. I know he walked one guy that I saw, but I think that's it. The strikeouts were there, but he was working to weak contact and got a bunch of ground balls. And I mean, that was the stuff that you wanted to see from Jonathan Hernandez for as long as I can remember. I mean, since that 2020 season when he broke onto the scene and you just saw the nastiest two-seamer you've ever seen at 99 miles an hour. You know, I mean, like that's what we've been looking for, and you've had the injuries, of course, and that takes away, and it doesn't always. You don't always just get right back, and Hernandez, we've seen that, and he's struggled, and he's had some issues. Spent most of the year last year with Round Rock, and you saw at the end of the year that things were starting to get better. But then Jonathan Hernandez has an injury late in the year last year. It affects him all the way through spring training. He doesn't get the jump that he needs to get. Starts the year on the IL, works his way back, but he hasn't been super good at any point. And then when you start to see the stuff and you start to see what he is, you know, Jonathan Hernandez is not a bad pitcher at all. It's just about being able to get him in that mindset to be what he was on Friday night. And Tanaka, that guy catches some of the worst luck in the history of baseball because that dude threw like 7 strikes that didn't get called strikes. Like, I feel like his slider is too deceptive to the umpires.
The umpire,
or something like that, or they're just unwilling to give him a strike call. But he gives up 4 runs on a 3-run home run that he gave up. It was another example of the Rangers. I feel like the guy that killed him that night, Sanchez. I mean, the dude has a 650 on base plus slug.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like, don't let that guy kill you. You know, I mean, Nick Gordon gets you for a home run. It is what it is. I mean, again, another 650 slug getting you. But at the same time, you know, you can have the 1 3-run home run. You can't have both of them.
Yeah. Rangers, you know, kind of has that same. It's that kind of same thing that's bit them all year is their inability really to step up against players and teams in times when they really need to step up. And I know that the Marlins have been playing better. Like, I know they're not as bad as they were. I get it. But it's like, how many times are we going to say that? Because we say it all the time. Oh, well, but we caught this bad team.
Colorado. We caught Colorado.
And it's like, no, man.
No, you
like,
beat those teams.
No, you beat them. You know, like that's what good teams do is they beat bad teams. Doesn't matter how they're playing at the time. And, you know, again, you know, you got 3 hits given up to the number 8 hitter for on Friday night against Miami. Now, I don't mind getting beat by the middle of the order. You know, I don't mind when those guys, you know, Berger is a pretty good hitter. The numbers don't say it, but he's got some pop.
He's
so
coming along too. Yeah, he started real slow. Josh Bell's a good hitter, and he's in the middle of a really hot streak as well. And Sanchez is one of those guys that you look at him on paper and you say, you can't have that guy beat you. And that, like, when you're looking at Bell and Berger and Chisholm at the top of the order, Sanchez is the guy that can't beat you there.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. You know, Rangers not terrible. I mean, you got to like what you saw with the Josh Smith home run, just wrong place, wrong time kind of thing. Well, let's move on to the fun stuff. Rangers dropped the Friday night game in Miami.
Yeah, Urena takes that loss, moves to 1-5 with a 3.74. But yeah, no, I still feel like Urena, even when the rotation still gets healthy, he's probably going to have a job in that bullpen at some point.
Well, and we talked about him early in the season. One of the things that makes him valuable is that versatility. And again, kind of like we talked about on the Down on the Farm show, those guys are starting to become more and more of an asset in the big leagues now because pitchers don't pitch, you know, deep into games that much anymore. You got a lot more strikeout pitchers. So that causes pitch counts to get high quick with some of these guys. And having guys that can go out there and give you 3 innings, 3 really good innings. And we've seen it with the Rangers a lot too. If you can't, like with Tanaka here, like, and again, I'm not talking about him, I'm just talking about the situation. You know, if you don't have guys that can keep you in a game, if you're down by a couple of runs for a few innings until the later parts of the game and you start getting out of the, you know, getting 3 or 4 or 5 runs out of the behind the other team, it gets really hard to come back in those games. So having these guys that can go out there and give you 3 innings, even on the losing side of the bullpen and really pitch well, I just think they're starting to climb in value. And it's kind of funny because it's like a throwback to the older day back in the days, because back in the day, they always had 1 or 2 guys in the bullpen that did this back in the 70s and the 80s. they go out there and give you 120 innings. And they pitched all the time. I mean, like all the time they pitched a ton. And a lot of times those guys would get Cy Young votes. And guys like even the closers used to be like that. Raleigh Fingers used to pitch multiple.
Oh yeah, well Bruce Sutter and Perry and those guys, they used to throw 2 or 3 innings. The save ended up becoming a thing because it'd be a 3-inning thing, right? Because it's still, if you pitch 3 innings, no matter what the score is to end a game, you're going to get a save. You know, a guy in a month or so when we start talking about trade deadline stuff, these Marlins have a guy that I'm really interested in.
Okay.
Declan Cronin.
Cronin.
Dude has got wicked stuff. He's sitting at a 1.30 ERA through 19 appearances this year and 28 strikeouts in his 27 innings of work, and he throws majority sliders.
So can I call him, if we get him, can he be Cronin the Barbarian?
Absolutely.
He's 6'4", 225. He's not a little. He's a big dude.
He's built. I mean, that's wide receiver in the NFL big, you know.
Yeah, this guy's got some impressive stuff, man.
But yeah, I really was impressed by him. And when you look at the stuff that they have, they've got some back end bullpen pieces that aren't too bad.
Nice. Well, Cronin the Barbarian. Let's keep an eye on him. Well, Rangers come out. One thing about this team this year for sure, and they were a lot in the same mold. I kind of trying to get out of the habit of talking about last year because this is not the same team. Some of the same players, but not the same team. But one thing that they really did well, I think last year, didn't do well last year, was come back in ball games. They really didn't start coming back in games until about second half of the season. So if they got down, they were kind of down. But when this team gets a lead, it's almost like they're a completely different team. So I really think one of the keys to this team right now, and again, the season is long, so it could change it. But I think the key to this team right now is them getting a lead early in a game. It's just they're a different team when they're playing with any kind of lead than they are when they're playing from behind. Rangers come out on Saturday, jump out against the Marlins in those. I don't know if I like them or not. Like I love the City Connect.
Connect Reds.
Yeah, I like the hats for sure.
The red is a little weird, but I think that has something to do with Miami and I don't know.
It's actually I want to say it's a Negro League team that used to play there.
I thought maybe it was Ponce de Leon.
No, it's a team that used to play there before long. Miami didn't get a team
like the Homesteads. Was it the Homesteads that moved to Miami from?
I want to say I'm gonna have to double check. No, I actually have a hat, and there was a whole story that went with it, and obviously I forgot it. But yeah, there's a lot of history tied to those uniforms. Anyways, but Miami, the
how
team.
How is it that the teams like Miami and Texas that have very little Major League Baseball history have the coolest backstories on their uniforms, and then Cincinnati and Detroit, who have been like the 2 longest standing teams in the league, they are like, we put DEET on. It was good Lord, it was like they were like Nike is ruining Major League Baseball's jerseys and their scene and all.
Nike needs to, or MLB needs to get another.
Get back to Majestic where everything was right.
Yeah, something's got to change with these.
All right, Saturday afternoon. Let's jump into Michael Lorenzen.
Yeah, let's talk.
6 1/3, threw him 100 pitches, seven strikeouts, just 7 base runners all day long. Worked in and out of jams there early in the game, and then once he got going, he was smooth as silk for about the last 5 innings that he threw. He was good. 4 1/3, something like that. That they were really good innings. And Michael Lorenzen has pitched a lot better than his 3-3 record. There's been tons of times Michael Lorenzen has put that team in a position to win, and it just didn't happen. So for them to go out, score some runs for him, jump right out. I mean, they jumped out. Simeon, Seager, Grossman, like 8 for 19 on the day, or it was 8 for 12 or something like that. It's something ridiculous. I mean, they all had hits. And remember the Rangers have been so poor against left-handed hitting. Weathers, the kid that pitched for Miami, he was 4 for 68 against left-handers prior to that game, and the Rangers left-handers went 5 for 6 in the game against him.
And he had a pretty good game too. Like,
he struck a bunch of guys out. He had like 14 strikeouts or something like that. He was really good. He wasn't that bad. It wasn't like they just went out and blew him out of the water, but they had a bunch of really good hits at the top of the lineup. And then you got and they kept adding them on all game long. You know, they got 2 in the third, then they put 2 in the fourth, and they added 1 in the seventh. They added a couple more in the ninth. They didn't let a bases loaded, nobody out situation be squandered, even though they tried their damnedest.
They really tried, didn't they?
They really, I mean, yeah. Okay. Garcia's had some of the worst bases loaded at bats I've ever seen in my entire life this season. For a cleanup hitter that you rely so much on that to be the case when he comes up, it's been really, really pathetic. But Simeon 3 for 5, Seager 3 for 4 with a walk, Grossman 2 for 4 with a walk and a couple of RBIs. You got a 2 for 5 from Langford with a couple of RBIs, a 2 for 5 from Smith, and then Kisner had a hit and an RBI, and we've been waiting for that shit. Excuse my language. We've been waiting for that. He had a couple of good at bats too. He had the sacrifice fly, and he had the hit, and he had a couple of decent at bats after that. Definitely did not look like the liability at the plate that he had looked at in certain games this season. So we've been waiting for that. Good on Kisner. The bullpen was solid behind Lorenzen. I feel really confident in Jose Leclerc right now, and I know that's crazy considering how poorly he's pitched as recently as a week and a half or 2 weeks ago. But, man, it's just like Jonathan Hernandez, how we talked about. The stuff is so good. And when he's got guys guessing fastball on that Slambia, dude, he's unhittable.
Yeah. No, I knew that we were going to talk about Leclerc because of this, because of his appearance in this game was really, really good. And it's just, I think that's probably the most frustrating part about him is the fact that, like, if we could get more consistency from 100%. And him and Hernandez both, because there's no lack of stuff with these guys.
100%.
And you gotta like what Jake Latz too. Like, I mean,
a thumbs up for Latz.
Like
everything you could have asked for.
Let me kind of give him my little spiel here.
Absolutely.
So think of the young pitchers this year that we wanted to see something from. We said we needed some of these young guys to step up, like that haven't done it before. And we've gone through Leiter, we've gone through Wynn, we've gone through Owen White. I'm sure I'm forgetting some other names in here, but the big name guys, those are the big name guys. But Jake Latz, who, and then, I mean, you got Grant Anderson back again this year, another young player that we had hopes for. We had hopes for maybe Antoine Kelly or Mark Church. Those guys haven't panned out for health reasons. But the reality is like Jake Latz, right from spring training, had a demeanor about him that you just kind of thought, man, like, he looks so confident up there, and his command was good from the outset. Didn't ever look like he was out of control. And so, like, all he's done up to this point has been really, really good for this team and really done whatever they've asked of him to do. And having out of and also with the Brock Burke scenario that has
absolutely. And he's been their only left-hander in the pen for the majority of the season. The only guy that they've used out of the pen besides him that was left-handed has basically been Heaney behind Eovaldi the other day. So they haven't had an option of left-handed pitchers out of the bullpen. And when they have, Jake Latz has answered the bell. And we talked about this last year at the end of the year when we saw him pitch a little bit. Like, there's the makings of that stuff. And the only time that he's really had any issues this year is when Bochy didn't have nobody else to go to.
Yeah, and he kind of
and he was like, look, Latz has been getting outs for me, so I'm going to keep going to him. And then he got a little taxed, and now you could tell he's not taxed anymore.
Yeah, and I mean, you bring up Lorenzen, he's sub 3 earned run average. He's pitching great. Latz is getting close to it. You know, they brought Garabito in a weird situation. I don't really hold that against him too much.
Oh, and nothing really. He gave up. I mean, Josh Bell got him. Like got him for a double. He worked around it. I thought he did a good job of working around it. And honestly, those are the perfect situations for him right now because they want Gerst and Garabito to be something here. They will. I mean, they didn't put him on the 40-man roster, and after a couple of performances, if he's going to keep getting outs, he's going to keep getting opportunities. And we're still in a spot where they need a long relief guy. And if it's not going to be Jonathan Hernandez or it's not going to be Jose Urena, it can be Gerson Garabito. And I'm not saying that's going to happen. He may be gone in the next couple of weeks when things start getting healthier. But at the same time, right now, this is a good spot to put him in there because it's a 7-0 ball game, and no matter what the worst that could possibly happen to him is, he's got Kirby Yates and David Robertson waiting behind him.
Yeah, and when we're talking about the lineup as well, with Robbie Grossman, I mean, how long did it take him to kind of
lefties, man?
I mean, how long did it take him to get back into kind of like that same role? Because one of the things, I don't know if it was yesterday or I think it was this game, he beat out a play or he got a walk. He did something that kind of like ignited kind of like the next thing to happen.
Well, and he had the 2-run double and
2-run double down the line. It just, again, he got a walk. Like, again, he's one of those guys that like once he fits into a certain playing style, I feel like it's almost like getting like a third down running back or something in football. Like these guys don't always fit into every single scenario. They got to get in the right situation. And it just seems like Grossman fits into like the Rangers kind of like mojo or whatever they do, because now, these last two games, Friday night or Saturday, Sunday, Grossman's has been a major player in both of those games. And the other thing too, I know when we brought him back, I was like, oh, we could have signed him in the offseason. Really and truly, like the more I thought about it, like, no, we couldn't, because we needed to find out what we have found out about these other guys. And now that we know that, hey, maybe it's next year or the year after for these guys, but Grossman, we need him back. So like, let's get back this right-hander that can run a little bit. He can play in the outfield. He gets big hits when we need him, but he also has really good at bats in situations where we need a veteran kind of presence there up at the plate.
Well, and to put a quick wrap on this thing, Michael Lorenzen, 3-3, 2.95 ERA, 2.96 ERA. Beautiful. Like, you couldn't ask for anything more from a guy that you signed off the street basically the day before spring training ended. So nothing more that you could ask for from Michael Lorenzen. They got to Weathers, he takes the loss. And, same thing the next day. They come out on Sunday morning because it was morning to me. It was morning to me yesterday when that thing started. And Simeon, Seager, Grossman, Garcia all come up with big hits. They all come up, get through there. I know Heim isn't going to get the RBI on the double play or whatever, but they had a bunch of good at-bats there in the first inning. They were able to get out to a quick lead, and they were able to, kind of sit on that lead all day long because Andrew Heaney was just flat out cruising.
Yeah.
Andrew Heaney, I mean, that was the best stuff I've seen Andrew Heaney have all season long, and I've seen Andrew Heaney have good stuff this season.
Yeah, he's had a pretty good year. His numbers don't necessarily.
But he's got that ERA under 4 now.
Yeah.
He's he's got a couple of wins in both of his last 2 appearances, one out of the bullpen and one in the rotation. But that's 6 innings today. That was his best 6 innings of the season. And that's saying something considering how well he's pitched in certain outings. But the 7 strikeouts to go along with no walks, they never really even pieced anything together. I think they had runners on second base one time while he was in there. So really good stuff from Heaney. Again, Latz was good again. And then they were able to go to Robertson. They scored that run later on. They scored those 2 runs in the 9th again. and allow Kirby Yates to take the day off. And Grant Anderson, when there's nobody on base, Grant Anderson pitching pretty well right now. The moment you get some guys on base, I'm not 100% sure I'm on that same pace or whatever, but Anderson pitched pretty well. Went through the heart of the order there. I mean, I know it's 6-0 or whatever, but you still got to win. You still got to get those outs, and Anderson did a good job of it. Robertson, just so stoic on the hill. That dude's just such a masterpiece. Just watching him play baseball every day, and man, the Rangers, they just pieced together runs today. They put together one here. They put together 3 there in the first inning on 4 consecutive hits. And, nothing super special about what the Rangers did today, but they were able to put together 10 hits, and they got 6 of them across. And I think they were like 3 for 12 with runners in scoring position, which isn't great, but at the same time, it's enough to push across 6 runs, and the Rangers able to get to Rogers early, and he pitched pretty good after that second inning. He was pretty good. The Marlins, they've got some pieces. It's just they're having trouble putting it all together, and being able to score runs has been a hardship for him all season long.
Yeah, Josh Smith had 5 hits over the weekend. He had a pretty good weekend in his own right. Seeing Nathaniel Lowe come off the bench hitting is a little weird, but again, I think it's kind of getting the point across. And then Dallas Garcia, the funny thing is after such a hot start, Seager passed him up just in like a week.
Well, he just and Garcia had been in a prolonged kind of slump. Hopefully we'll start seeing him come out of that a little bit, and it all starts and ends with Chase with Garcia. When he gets behind accounts and he starts chasing pitches, his chase rate is up 10-12% this year. So that's what you're seeing, and I have every confidence in the world that you're going to start seeing him put the pieces together. And he's seeing pitches right now, and guys in front of him are hitting, so he doesn't have to worry about leading the charge all the way. But at the same time, of course you want to see Garcia get going. But that ball he hit today, that home run was a dart. That was a dot, brother.
Yeah, that was a shot and a half, man. So yeah, Rangers take it 6-0. So last two games against the Marlins, they combined a 13 and 13-0, 2 shutouts in a row. So that's actually really, really, when you say that out loud, that's actually really
innings. Yeah, 18 innings of no run baseball is good stuff, no matter how you shape it up, and especially with, we've seen it from not just the starters in Lorenzen and Heaney, but you saw Latz, Leclerc, Anderson, Robertson, every piece that you needed to see get outs in that bullpen. Garabito, all of them, they got the outs that they needed. The Rangers, couple of shutouts to end the weekend, and then they've got the Detroit Tigers coming to town afterwards to put a quick wrap on it. Andrew Heaney 2-6 now, sub-4, 3.99 ERA. So you got to like that. And Ty Rogers falls to 1-7, 5.68. I feel like he's better than what that is, but at the same time, when your team doesn't score a lot of runs for you, it doesn't matter how good you are or how bad you are.
Yep. Well, hey, let's get into this really, really exciting pitching matchup coming up. It's in Texas. I had it back.
Yeah, they've already played 4. They've already played 4 with Detroit and Motown. This is a 7:05 right out here at the ballpark. It's on Bally Sports Southwest here locally. No national television today. 105.3 is going to pick it up on the radio, and you've got Nathan Eovaldi, who's 2-2 with a 2.84 ERA, going against Tarek Skubal, one of the bright young pitchers in the major leagues, another left-hander. He's 7-1 with a 2.01 ERA, and he's got those 80 Ks. Those 80 Ks, yeah.
Call it right now. Rangers are going to go out there and tattoo.
Probably
best
the way it goes
right now, and just to throw all those statistics out the window.
You can ask all those great Detroit pitchers back in the day, Max Scherzer and Justin Verlander and all those guys that used to be so good, David Price. Ask him how it went when they came to Texas.
Absolutely.
Max Scherzer was like 14-0 that one year. He came to Texas and they beat him like 7-0.
Yeah, doesn't surprise me. Boys from Texas usually can hit the ball. Let's
get out of here.
Yeah, let's get this done. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Check out the game tonight. We'll be back again tomorrow to talk a little, to give the wrap up and then also preview the rest of this Detroit series. Again, don't forget to check us out on social media, TX Rangers WTV. Don't forget to check out that website, TexasRangersWithTheBoys.com.
All one word.
And what also is all one word, at Chilltown Hoops here on YouTube, Sports Fluent Network. Come check us out. Come check out our made for radio faces.
Hey, and check out the Chilltown Hoops guy. He's not having much fun watching Luka beat up on all them guys of the East.
Go in there and comment on it. Go in there and get your comments on there and talk about how great these Mavericks are going to do against these Boston Celtics. So go Mavs. Gotta love it. Again, another big shout out to our farm hands on our exclusive content down on the farm with the boys. Just go check that out and get make us your one-stop shop for all things Rangers organization-wide for the 300-pound manimal. This is your boy Kev. We are Texas Rangers with the boys. We're signing out.